Alright everyone, welcome back to our Return to Borderlands 3 playthrough. We are of course returned back and now we've beaten the story, but we've got more stuff to do. We're going to do more of the side content, which includes the trial. So I went and I got all the trials here, and I think we're just going to go in order and do all of them just really quickly, just to show them off and just fight the boss. So I don't think we're going to do the harder version of them, but we'll just show them off. So we're here at the Trial of Cunning. I just went down in order from what we had. So that was the Cunning was the first one. Discipline, Fervor, Instinct, Supremacy, and Survival. We'll do all those. It shouldn't be too hard. But let's show, before we do that, let's show what we got. We got one of these chests to open up. Early, but checking. Ooh, a diamond key. Well, now we could open a diamond key. Maybe at the end of this we'll do it. There's like a little end thing. Anything else? We did unlock, I think, one more of these. So we still got more stuff to do with the cartel, so maybe I'll do that off camera. We're on Mayhem 1. We're just doing more than okay boomer. A little bit of some points, because we did level up, so now we got some points into our guardian rank, mostly in enforcer, some in survivor and hunter. Here's our skill tree. We changed it up a bit. I went down green tree, got power inside. I kind of went down a little bit more of a blue tree, and then a little less into a red tree, so no more megavore, but I don't think we're gonna really need it. Maybe it's a mistake, I don't know, but I think maybe green tree might be a little bit better for us. And then obviously we're level 50 now, so we got more stuff. I got this Gatling gun, Lucian's Call I got from the ludograms. I got a Hellwalker. I think I got that from the gun. Same with this Bingerang. Still using a basic shield, so we're gonna look out for that. Same with our Cosmic Stalker. I also did I think we changed this out. I got the Unleash the Dragon. I think I went and farmed when I was farming going to get one of the trials. I killed El Dragon Jr. and he dropped this. We still have our transfusion grenade, some other stuff that we picked up, but most of it's we're gonna put away for now. That we're not really using. Like I got the 2-time from doing that one mission over there in Roland's Rest. Still have our other stuff that we haven't really saved. We also got the Amazing Grace. I figured I might as well get it now since we're not really going to use it later on from that one mission from Mordecai. Same with this. I got this random Infinity Pistol. And I think I also got this Magnificent, but we're not really going to use it. We should be alright. I don't think it's going to be too difficult. But yeah, so we're here at the Trial of Cunning. This is basically like a little mini, like a kind of speed run challenge, like clear areas as fast as you can. And obviously we get to meet here the Overseer, which I talked about like the kind of new like a storyline of them adding like these kind of self-aware like I guess guardians you would call them, or yeah, guardians that are like able to talk to you and obviously have some like deeper connection, or they know more than they're leading on to. Basically he's telling us, or I guess it's telling us to go and do all this stuff and basically prove ourselves. But this is going to be mostly tinks and mostly like the hags and just basic psychos. I also have the cartels that are still on, so I might have to fight some of the cartel enemies a little bit. We got Josie Bite over there, but she's not too difficult. We switch over to our Lucian's Call. Our Lucian's Call is a little bit more powerful. It's a little more consistent. Since we land a lot of crits, we can pretty much keep it going. We hit another one. One of the cartel enemies spawns. We got Tenderizer again. Hopefully maybe he drops something. I would like to get more legendaries now as we kind of level up. I think after we do this, we're probably going to go do, like I said, the Slaughter Shafts, and then we'll probably jump into DLC 1. DLC 1 is going to probably, these are, like I said, those playthroughs are going to take a couple of parts to do. This is probably just going to be one big part where I kind of cut it up and jump from each one. Same with Slaughter. Even though Slaughters are kind of a little lengthy, they usually take like half an hour to do. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'll do one or two together, depending on how long it takes, or save one for the harder one, like the Cistern, or the Slaughter Shaft, which is one of the harder ones. So that one can take a while, but if we're a little bit under leveled, and here at level 1, or may have 1, and we have some decent gear, maybe we can kind of speed through it. Usually that's how it goes with some of these things. We want to at least start leveling up more and getting more better legendaries. I think we got another rare. We got legendary, I see. Maybe go check it out real quick. We're getting a lot of blues and purples now. Another Gunnerang. Well, we already have one. Or is this the Bangerang? I forget which one is which. No, we got the Bangerang. So the Bangerang, I think, this is the one that's the Bouncing Betty. And I think this is the one that you throw and it comes back to you. And it kind of like it wasn't. I think this is like the one that was. The Gunnerang was in like the Borderlands 2 one that everyone would use to kill like Hyperius, I remember, for Axton. And then the Bangerang is like the one that they added into the pre-sequel. It's kind of like a weird alternate version of it, or I guess original version, depending on how you look at it, because the pre-sequel takes place before the events of Borderlands 2. But there's the Hammer Buster 2, which is like a little reference. Because in Borderlands 1 or 2, there's the Hammer Buster, and then in Borderlands 3, or the pre-sequel, they had the Hammer Buster 2, which technically the Hammer Buster would just be the Hammer Buster, but they put a 2 next to it, implying that's like the sequel to it, even though it technically was the first version of it, which is kind of like a weird little, I guess, oversight that never really got corrected. It's like something that if you don't realize it, you can like kind of see it. Yeah, this is mostly going to be these tink enemies. These guys aren't too difficult. The other ones, the harder ones, are I think the fervor and I think the one with the fervor, the big hag one. That's the really difficult one. That's pretty much all just like badasses with the anointed enemies. These anointed tinks are pretty annoying, but they're not as bad as like the enforcers or like the main normal ones that throw out those big giant death spears or death orbs that kind of home into you. As long as we're landing quick, we can pretty much keep basically insta kill them. You also want to make sure you break them so you can maybe get some more loot, even though these guys don't give that much loot. But I've gotten many legendaries from like, just breaking these iridium dudes or these anointed guys. It's not too difficult. We're kind of struggling. And make sure we keep using what's it called? Fade away. We need maybe a little bit more cooldown since we kind of already have like a long period of waiting for our action skill. Now we leveled up. We killed this guardian, which is one of like the challenges. He's like fallen guardian that they make skill like one of like the little objectives. He usually drops a bunch of money, but I guess in this case he didn't. Let's maybe switch over to our Hell Walker, because we got a new one, and we might as well keep using it, because the game keeps giving us one every so often. And we leveled up. I think we'll keep going down a green tree, or red tree here. There we go. Maybe a little bit more reload speed. And now we have Guardian rank, obviously. I guess we go accuracy, because why not? We need to get more to put points in pretty much everything to get down to get in, unlock all the little perks that we get. I know some of the perks are really powerful, like the ones that let us aim down in sight and aim down in fight for life. And I think there's Hollow Point. There's also one that gives us like, is it Groundbreaker, the one that does a lot of damage? It gives us like a bunch of damage also. Yeah, this Hellwalker is pretty ridiculous and powerful. Alright, and a little bit more. Anyone else? We gotta get all these other little tink guys that are all piled up here. Let's wait for them to come to us. Our spider, our big, our spider ant, our skag is kind of distracting everybody, pulling them all away. So it's kind of hard to kill them. Let's get this guy over here. He's all by himself now.
Run, you weaklings!
Anyone else? No.
That's the spirit.
Probably want to make sure Chu should get us, I think. Yeah, he should be able to get us. Kind of weird a little bit. Speaking of some other things that I want to, I guess, talk about, I was seeing that they're going to potentially release a trailer for the new Avengers movie, the Doomsday, which maybe it's going to come out, I don't know. Or they're going to show like a teaser trailer, which, I don't know, I think a lot of people are kind of, well, I guess maybe I am, because I am kind of like a bit of a fan of the Avengers movies. I always kind of have been, but I guess now they've kind of been in this weird, like, love-hate relationship where everyone's, like, wants to hate on them, but everyone kind of loves them, or, I guess not love them, but, like, likes them and obviously cares about them. Because, like I said, like, the Avengers are, like, the first, like, original set, I guess, of the movies that came out, like, leading up to Infinity War and Endgame were really popular. And once Endgame kind of ended, or was the ending, they kind of tied up that story. They were kind of like, where do we want to go with it now? And, like, everyone was kind of like, these movies aren't good. Then you had the, obviously, the pandemic, which kind of delayed everything. And they kind of obviously had to change the story from a Kang to now Dr. Doom, which really added like changed everything up, and I was like, well, what story do they really want to tell? But I am kind of excited because I think it'll be kind of curious to see what kind of where they want to really take the story, because I know it's kind of being like Avengers. This is going to be like them telling a new story or setting up something new that like leads to like a, I guess, a reset of the story. You would call it that. Like once this like this and was it Secret Wars, the next one, kind of come out, they're gonna basically try and bring like what is it like the X-Men in and trying to recast a lot of like the new main Avenger characters and bring some new other characters in and try and like tell a completely new story and kind of set up for something completely different. Which is pretty interesting considering that like the original movies have been out for so long. Like they're pretty old now. Like I was like a little kid, or not like a little kid, but I was pretty young when like the first Avengers movie came out. You know, even then I was like I didn't really know much about Marvel, but now that the movies have been out, I kind of learned a lot more about like Marvel and about these characters and seeing them kind of be I guess branded and remade into like seeing them on the big screen, which is something that I'm sure a lot of people really wanted, because there weren't really that many popular like superhero movies aside from like I don't know like the sort of Sam Raimi Spider-Man, like the Incredible Hulk, maybe like the OG Blade movie, which I really like the first Blade movie, even though I didn't see it till much later in my life, or much recently, I guess it's better to say. And then I did see the two sequels, which I wasn't really a fan of those two sequels. But yeah, who knows? I hope it's good. I don't know, because I'm curious to see what kind of direction. Because I always see like those leaks or spoilers about who's coming back. Or I remember they did that like little publicity thing where they showed off all the actors, but you made everyone wait like an hour just to see who there was. But yeah, we finished up Ghostlight Beacon, so I think we'll pause real quick and jump back to Sanctuary and go to what are we going to next? We're going to the Discipline next. The Discipline I think is the I think that's the one in the Prometheus one, but yeah, I'll be right back with that. So let me give me a second. I'll be right back, and I'll see you guys in 1 second. We're back. Okay, so now we're here at the trial of was it Discipline? I think, or yeah, or no? What are we doing? I don't even know. We're here at at this one here. I forget. This is the was it the trial or something? I can't even think of what it's called now. Yeah, here at this one. But either way, we're going to do this one. This is the Prometheus one. I forget what it's called. Yeah, the Trial of Discipline. That's what I was thinking. I was like, what is it called? I was like kind of like forgetting. Like, wait a minute, it's something else. Or no, it's Discipline, because I didn't see it on the kind of on the menu thing anymore. This is like the one we're going to fight a lot of Promethean guys, or like the or not the Promethean guys, the Malon dudes. Which Malon guys aren't too difficult. I think we'll probably use our Lucian's Call now. I should be able to kill these kind of generic commando guys. They're not too difficult. But I was like I was saying about like the Avengers Doomsday, because I know like right now there's like a lot of like big like stuff coming out in 2026. Like I know there's the new Spider-Man movie, which everyone's been talking about, because we haven't really seen Spider-Man that much, except from I think what was the last thing we saw when he was like in Endgame, or no, was it No Way Home? Which No Way Home was kind of like its own contained story, kind of like bringing back like was Andrew Garfield and like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and kind of like implying that they kind of exist in this universe and that they can kind of come into like the MCU and do stuff and interact. Because I know like there was like some like stuff like talking about like leaks or about like what they want to do for like the Kang Dynasty, where they wanted to maybe bring back Tobey Maguire and have him kind of be like another Spider-Man on top of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. But you know, obviously everything gets changed, so who knows what they really want to do. But it seems like this is going to be more of like kind of like a more grounded Spider-Man, where it's more focused on him being Spider-Man and interacting with a lot more new characters, because apparently he's going to interact with the Hulk, or I guess like Professor Hulk, or like Bruce Banner, that type of Hulk, and maybe like Punisher, because I know they want to bring the Punisher from like the Daredevil now, because they're making another Daredevil show, or the season 2, which I really like the new the Daredevil show that came out like a while ago. I think it was this year. Because I didn't really watch like the Netflix shows or anything like that. I've seen like clips of it, like the clips of like the fight scenes, or people like early little like big moments and reveals. But like seeing the new one was pretty cool. I think it was probably one of the more better of like the MCU shows, especially the more recent ones. And then I think there's that other one, Wonder Man, which I'm not sure what that's about. I guess Wonder Man's like he's probably like the one I'm not more familiar with, or that story. Because it's more of like a kind of like a looks like it's going to be more of like a meta commentary about like superhero shows, where instead of it being about like a superhero going and saving the world or that, it's more about like a person playing a character that's supposed to be like a superhero in his like life. I'm not sure if he's like actually going to be like become a superhero, by the end, or they're gonna make it more of like its own like little meta joke about like the different Marvel shows. Because I'm not too familiar with that. Because I've only seen like we've only seen the trailer. I'm not too familiar with what they want to really do with that. But like I said, Doomsday, I'm not sure what they want to do. I know they want to bring all the new characters and bring back was it the X-Men from the Fox universe, which everyone kind of really wanted. But I don't know. I guess I'm curious to see what they do with them. Are they going to try and like have them become main characters, or are they more of just there for like cameo, or kind of like what they did with Deadpool and Wolverine with Johnny Storm, where he kind of there for like the jokes and he like gets killed, or like he like sacrifices himself, which I think is maybe what they want to maybe do. Which, no offense to like was it like Patrick Stewart, or was it Ian McKellen? I think the one who does Magneto. Like they're kind of too old. I don't know if they or some of the other actors too. Like was it the guy that plays what's his name? Was it Nightcrawler? I forget what the actor's name is, but like him, like those guys are kind of a little too old. I don't know if they want to have them be coming back and being like major characters or do like major story moments. I know they kind of tried to bring Patrick Stewart back with Miss Doctor Strange movies where he was part of like the Illuminati, but he obviously gets killed. I mean, spoiler in that movie. So I was like, maybe they just kind of wanted to bring him for the sake of having him exist in this other alternate universe, because that was kind of what they were going for. But in this, I'm not sure what they really want to do with how they're going to really make Doom a big threat. Is he going to be like, because I know people are going to be like, are they going to make it more of, because obviously it's, was it Dr. Doom is Robert Downey Jr. Are they going to make Doom his own unique character that kind of exists? He just kind of not really acknowledge that he looks like Tony Stark, or if they're going to say this is like an alternate version of Tony Stark, kind of like the Supreme, or like Ultimate, like Iron Man, like they're supposed to be like evil, that they kind of were teasing and or wanted to make reference in Doctor Strange, or he's like an evil version, or he's more of just like his own unique character that he's basically coming from an alternate universe, or kind of like like he is like a villain. He's like he is like a villain, like the Doctor. He is Doctor Doom from like the Fox or the Fantastic Four universe that's coming and trying to take over, or maybe they're gonna maybe do like the. There's one theory is like they're gonna do like was it kind of like a reimagining of the Kang story where there's gonna be like multiple Doctor Dooms, or like a Doctor Doom from the future, or from like this alternate timeline, and there's gonna be like a kind of like a medieval like old-time Doctor Doom from like the past who also kind of figured out magic and science, and they're gonna have them kind of fight and jump between them, and then you have him going to like, or maybe he exists in the other like Fox universe. He comes and fights them, or they come and everyone fights each other, and he kind of like makes it all annoying, or makes it like kind of puts like everyone against each other. Which I think is maybe what they want to do. I don't know, because like I said, like they're obviously want to like rebrand this story and try and tell a new story with everyone, and bring the new characters that they've introduced over the years, kind of give them the room to shine. But I know people are kind of very cynical to like the MCU now and all of that. So I know there's a lot of people who kind of hoping it fails, or hoping that it doesn't do as good, because that's just how it is. Or maybe it does do bad. I mean, I guess I don't think it will be like horrible. I don't think like any of the real big MCU movies have been horrible, aside from like the Marvels. That was more horrible due to financial reasons. But I didn't really like that movie. I did see it, but I don't know. Like, it wasn't like, oh my god, this is the worst movie ever. But it wasn't like, oh my god, this is like the best movie ever. I cried, I laughed, I was scared, I did all that while watching this movie. It's like more of like, this movie is like pretty generic, and it's obvious that they wanted to tell an interesting, a more fun, silly story with Kamala Khan and like Miss Marvel, or not Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel she's not very likable, or she didn't have the same like mass appeal as someone else. And I know they're trying to bring out Miss Marvel as more of like the kind of young new character to like kind of fill the role of like Captain Marvel, and kind of fill the role of the young Avengers. I know that's something they wanted to do. They kind of been teasing, but who really knows? I know like a lot of people are kind of, I wouldn't say I'm like a hardcore fan of like the MCU, but I do enjoy the movies. I'm not someone who goes out and buys like 20 merchandises and Funko Pops like some people, and goes and constantly talks about how much I love the movies. But I do appreciate what they are, and as someone who kind of grew up with them, seeing them, you know, seeing Endgame, Endgame and like Infinity War was really like a special moment in like movies, like where they really built up, and you really were like, oh my god, what are they gonna do? How are they gonna tie the story up? And seeing like Thanos, because Thanos is really cool. Even now, it's seeing clips of it and rewatching the movies again, and seeing like the fight with Thanos and all them. It was pretty cool even back then, like how it looks, because I know people complain about like CGI and like the visuals and stuff and say, oh, it's ugly or not good. But like seeing Thanos and seeing him like up close and seeing those like cuts of him up close, like man, he looked like a real dude. I was like, holy crap, this is pretty badass. But I mean, like, but yeah, but I think we're gonna take another pause and we'll come back to the next one, which is gonna be the Trial of Fervor, which is the hardest one in my opinion. So I'll be right back. See you guys in 1 second. All right, we're back. We're here in the Trial of Fervor now. This guy. This is one of the harder ones because we're probably going to be a lot of the anointed enemies, like the anointed Goliaths, anointed enforcers, anointed hags. So we got to really be careful because we can probably die a lot during this one. And there's a lot of badasses too that can really kind of throw a wrench in everything. On top of having all of the cartel enemies also spawn on top of that. But I think we should be able to manage. Gotta wait for this guy to blabber about whatever he's saying. You gonna let me in?
Prove yourself.
So yeah, we got a lot of these. Just some normal bandit, but they're like the tougher versions of the bandits. The other one was only just chinks. And now we got more of these like Goliath enemies and a lot of badass psychos. Some of the cartel enemies will fight with the normal enemies, which is definitely something that I've noticed over time. Maybe they can kind of be like another distraction on top. But we're pretty much doing fine. Speaking of other stuff with Marvel, like I said, I'm not sure how I feel about like other stuff. I know there's other projects they want to do, but like I think the thing that kind of got people more interested into like Marvel, obviously, is like I said, Marvel Rivals has definitely kind of pulled people into Marvel and kind of introducing new characters. Because I know as of like recording this, they're doing their like anniversary events, which I've been kind of playing and checking out for Marvel Rivals. Because I know Marvel Rivals, like it's already been almost a year now that the game's been out, which is kind of crazy to think about for a game like that. I know Marvel's kind of really hit the industry by storm for a lot of people, especially in the free-to-play, like, hero shooter type of games. And obviously, it being Marvel, it obviously holds a lot of people. I know it's like kind of those moments where people like seeing like characters that maybe weren't as like didn't have mainstream appeal or weren't as popular, kind of be given like the kind of like new like giving them like kind of like what I talked about like with the Fantastic Four, you know, Ultron, you know, what was it, Emma Frost. Even Daredevil. I know Daredevil's kind of more popular. Angela too, and you know, and like with Blade too, and Blade and Phoenix. Even though like Blade was already a somewhat popular character, but seeing him kind of be brought back in, because I know the MCU wanted to kind of have their own like Blade movie, but who knows if that's ever going to come out. That kind of been like put to the side for now. But seeing him in like a game and seeing him have cool powers, or seeing him in like seeing his power and seeing him like, with cool costumes and seeing stuff like that, I think has really gotten people to appreciate the Blade movies and go watch them, because you know there aren't that many IPs with Blade in it. I guess now, and obviously they put him in the new Marvel's like was it zombie thing, which I know people didn't. I mean, people kind of liked it. I didn't really. I only seen like clips of it. I haven't like sat down and watched all of the episode. I think it's like a series. I thought it was like just like a little movie, or like it was like a couple hour long movie that was like a clip of how, what if this happened and seeing them. But I seem like it's like supposed to be more like violent and have like a very like gory story about like seeing the Avengers fight like zombified versions of like other super Avengers / superhero characters and seeing them kind of struggle and stuff like that. But like I said, like I think Marvel Rivals has done something that like a lot of people want to do, because I know people are really into it, and it'll be interesting to see where they go. Obviously, they're still waiting for, I think it was Rogue to come out. She's the next big character, and Rogue has always been like another popular, like of like the X-Men characters, even though she wasn't like my favorite of like the major X-Men characters. Like obviously, I would rather see like I don't know, like Cyclops or Beast or like something or Nightcrawler come and kind of have a bigger role in the story. I guess maybe you could throw in like I guess Quicksilver, but like that like X-Men version of him, or like was it like I guess like Deadpool. I guess Deadpool is kind of like an X-Men character, but he kind of exists in his own like weird little canon. But apparently he's supposed to come, or according to leaks, because everyone's always you always see those like leaks are saying like, oh, here's another leaked character. Because I remember way back when the game kind of first came out, there was like a list of all the characters that have been like referenced or like are in the file, like their name or like a concept art for them. Some of them obviously did come true as coming out of as characters. So who knows? Maybe Deadpool and I forget what the other character is. It's like some other obscure like female character that I can't put my finger on what her name is. So I'm not too familiar with her wall character. So who knows? I think like Deadpool will probably definitely get people excited because he's a very popular character. And Deadpool has always kind of been, I guess Deadpool has always kind of been a popular character. And he's always kind of existed in his own kind of unique thing where he wasn't really bound to the MCU or even like the X-Men or the X-Men main, like the Fox one or like the kind of retelling of the story with the past one where it's like young, like Charles Xavier and young Magneto and like the young versions of these characters and seeing like alternate versions of them. They're supposed to be like the young versions of the ones that we see in like the first like the batch of X-Men movies. Because I'm not too familiar with what the story really is. So I never really watched those movies. I've seen like I said, I've seen clips of it, but I never sat down and watched like what is it like the one with the big apocalypse guy or the big like that kind of like alien dude that's like gray. I forget what his name is. I think it's like Apocalypse or Annihilation or something like that, or like something. I don't even know. She's like the typical like that type of like big like kind of crazy like noun name that's like oh it's like yeah Apocalypse or like killer or not killer like Doomsday Annihilation or something like that. But I'm curious to see what they're doing because I'm sure they're probably going to have new characters come out, and I guess maybe maybe Marvel wants them to kind of lean more into like the MCU, especially with Doomsday. Maybe we'll get more. I don't know if they're going to add more obscure characters, but I feel like the main characters they'll add are probably like more X-Men characters, since those are kind of the easier ones to do, since a lot of them are more defined as like being like DPS, a tank, or being like a kind of healer-esque character, or characters that can kind of be twisted into being either or. Rather, like some of the other main characters are kind of like always going to be DPS, so it's kind of hard to like kind of like put them in because you don't want to have too many DPS, and everyone complains like, oh, there's not enough supports or there's not enough tanks, and you know how that is. I'm sure they probably have that idea in the back of their head as they kind of set, because I'm sure they're probably setting in stone like the next like couple months or like the first half of 2026. But who really knows? I mean, like I said, like as we move into 2026, I think the gaming industry is definitely in a weird position, especially since there's a lot of big games coming out, but a lot of big games are kind of not really wanting to come out because of, like I said, GTA coming out and being like the big dog that everyone's like worried about, because GTA might like take away stuff. Like, if you like release a game and like GTA comes out in like what it said, I think it was like November or like October, they said something like that, like in that time range, like any game coming out like within like a month or a week after that date is like pretty much going to be overshadowed. And this is like a very niche game because I know GTA is a very popular game. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to play GTA, but most people who are like more like I guess story or people who play more casual maybe will wait to play it or focus more on like the multiplayer or like the kind of online stuff and the other stuff rather than focus on like the big story, because I know some people don't really care about the story. Like, but some people do, obviously. But since the game's been out, or GTA 5's been out for so long, more people focus on like the heist or like the online stuff or like the role playing. I see people do. So I know like that's like another part of it, or like building like those racing maps that everyone sees on like the TikTok feeds of side scrolling alongside random videos. You see like the feed of that or like the Subway Surfers. So who knows? Maybe we'll get that with GTA 6, where maybe GTA 6 will have like even more HD graphics or HD or high definition like racing simulator. But GTA is kind of like one of the more popular like unofficial racing games, I guess you would call it, since you have like Forza Horizon, Gran Turismo, but those games are kind of more realistic and they have kind of. But GTA 6 kind of takes the realistic stuff and kind of adds a comedic side to it. Where it's like you can drive around these big, giant, crazy like tunnels and fall off the map. It's like above the world. Where other GT or rather like the other more realistic ones exist more as like like a actual racing game, like that you would like NASCAR kind of type of stuff, or like Formula One stuff. It's kind of like what they did with what was it? Red Dead Redemption is like the best like horse girl game or horse simulator game or riding simulator for someone who like likes those types of games. You would play like GTA's or not GTA, Resident or not Resident Red Dead Redemption 2. I never really played Red Dead Redemption 2. I think I played like a little bit because it was I think on like Game Pass back when Game Pass was a little cheaper for like a hot minute. And I kind of just tried it out, but once it kind of left, I kind of like, I don't know if I want to play this. But I did remember seeing it and kind of like thinking, well, this is going to be kind of interesting. But I was kind of upset with like how they wanted to like bring back other characters because I figured what they would maybe tell was it like I forget what Mark John's like son's name is, the little boy that's like. Because in Red Dead 1 or 2, after you beat the story and like everything that happens with that, you know, it ends with you playing as John's son, who's like now an adult, and like he takes the role as like the main character in that story, and then you get the opportunity to like kill like the privateer, or, like the bounty hunter guy that like sent the police or the military after John, like after all these years. Because I figured they would maybe tell his story, maybe focus on him. Instead, they wanted to go back and focus on Arthur, who's like a character that was like a friend of John, existed as part of like the gang of Dutch. Because you obviously know how the story ends. You know that what happens to John. You know what happens to all these other characters, and like obviously the new characters they introduced. Because I know a lot of people really liked them, and even the ones that weren't really like popular character, or like was it Micah or Micah, the one like guy who betrays you. He's like the one that everyone disliked, and then like the other characters too. And obviously people really liked Arthur because like Arthur was I think he was a really good character. And some of the other like side characters that kind of don't die or kind of leave and kind of step away because I'm not sure like what happens to every single character. I know like obviously the characters that we see in Red Dead 1 as like the bounty or like the end of the outlaws that Sean has to go and fight to obviously get either killed or they get like sent to jail or get arrested depending on which one's like the I guess canon one. And then obviously you kill Dutch at the end where he's gone like crazy, but I'm not sure what they really want to do because like I said, like I think like a game like GTA 6 is probably like considering how long GTA 5 has been out, like I'd be curious if GTA 6 was going to be like a multi-console generational game, like if the PS like are they going to do like GTA 6 for the PS6? Like that would be kind of like a funny little reference because I remember when Grand Theft Auto came out or when they did like the trailer teaser for the PlayStation 5, they shared it with GTA and how like PlayStation was doing a deal with Rockstar. And then they're obviously going to release GTA 5 on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, but they kind of delayed it. So who knows if they're going to try and do that too. And then whatever, the PS7 has GTA 6 also, which is like a pretty crazy thing to think about considering how long the PlayStation 4 and like I said, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One have been like still supported for almost 10 years now since the release date. And like seeing even though the Xbox Series S and the X and then the PlayStation 5 are still in their kind of infancy or still in their like weird like halfway point of their lifespan where maybe there is going to be another console within the next 3 to 4 years or maybe it's going to be sooner or they're going to delay it because of like cost and stuff and trying to like make a console that's more of like a PC and trying to really give people more stuff, especially if they're going to try and charge more for it because like that's like a whole issue which no one really knows what they really want to do because like if you're going to release a next gen console, it's going to cost almost $1,000, like $800, and then your other consoles are almost like $500 or $700. Like, is there, like, are people really going to jump that high? Maybe they will, but I don't know. And then you look at something like the Switch, which Nintendo obviously released the Switch 2, and the Switch 2 obviously is more powerful than the Switch 1, but the Switch 1 was already like a very underpowered console even when it came out. And I think people obviously wanted the Switch 2 to be like even more powerful or on par, really on par with like the PlayStation 5 and the Series X, which is kind of something I wanted back when they kind of teased the console. Was like they should just go all the way into it being more of like a home console, like you just plug it into your like the TV and just leave it sitting there, rather than try and be like a fun portable little thing that you take to your kid, you take to the park or onto like to grandma's house, like that kind of stuff. All right, I think we're going to do another pause and come back for the next one. Maybe we'll continue our little ramble again, but I'll see you guys in a second. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So we're here at the other trial. The trial, I believe, is Instinct. This is the big, the Grogs and the Saurians and all that stuff. There's also going to be this is I think the one area where you get a bunch of loot jabbers actually, or jabbers also. We don't really see jabbers that much outside of like obviously Eden 6, so seeing them here, and I think this one is like the area where you can get a bunch of what is it, the loot jabbers, which are another popular little of the kind of loot psycho or loot tink enemy that they can spawn. So we might get a bunch of those since they're pretty common. But speaking of like, I don't know, because like to me, like I don't know, I guess like because we're like I said, we're in this like weird position for like consoles. Like, I'm not sure like what the PS6 or the or like the new Xbox will look like. Will it be more of just like basically just a like a budget computer? But I guess you could say that that's what the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 are kind of. Or that's what the PlayStation is now. But they become so expensive where it's like, are you really gonna want to spend that much for, you know, a console that's kind of like a thing, a PC that's basically locked to like a certain hardware or certain like, I guess like system basically, as opposed to like a normal, just buying like a normal computer and using that. Especially as we move to like this like less like physical games like era where now like who knows if the like the PlayStation consoles won't have disk drives and focus more on just digital copies of games, which I know a lot of people are kind of very iffy on, especially if they're a little older. You're so really into collecting, but a lot of people are kind of already kind of accepted it, especially if you're like a hardcore like PC player where all the games you own are basically PC games. And I guess do you really own them, or how does it really work legally, especially if like something were to happen to Steam or Steam were to like really go down, like can you get those games back? I don't know, because like to me like I would obviously want them to kind of still prioritize physical games, or making games more physical and having them be available, but also making them so they're not so expensive, because games have gotten so expensive to where it's like not really feasible for a lot of people to buy like so many games, especially when there's so many games coming out. Like I talked about, where like if you're really excited for GTA 6, your GTA 6 might be the only game you really buy. You're willing to spend maybe the $60 or $80 for GTA 6 or $100, who knows, and then maybe spend a little bit more on like some of the online stuff, or buying like the shark cards, or buying any cosmetics or anything else that they want to add to the game, like expansions or anything like that. And then people are like, well, that's all I'm going to spend. Or maybe I'll spend some money on like Fortnite or Call of Duty or Marvel Rivals, because those are like the other like free-to-play side games where I'm willing to spend like $20 here, but I'm not willing to spend $80 up front for a game, like a single-player game or any of like the big new AAA games that are coming out, because a lot of people have a lot of them are very good, but a lot of people have become kind of cynical to them and are willing to pay like top dollar for that, especially for a game that maybe isn't the most, but maybe a little bit rushed, or now filled with AI and weird like predatory stuff to like make you buy even more stuff, like an expansion pass or DLC, or pay money to save or be able to like save your game or stuff like that, or for a new game plus or stuff like that, or for like premium stuff that maybe helps you, or maybe gives you an advantage that you normally would have be able to get if you just played the game, and maybe unlocked as like a cheat code, or like as like a thing for beating the story. Because I know like that's like an issue that we're all kind of dealing with now, and I hope that maybe some games are more of like the indie scenes, especially as like more indie games companies become more popular, or begin to be able to make more bigger games. Because I know there's like a lot of those like companies that have like started like coming up out of the woodwork to like be able to make like a big game that's like, oh my god, this game sold a couple million copies already. It's able to like grow and become like able to compete with these other AAA games and make a game that's AAA but actually is good, and a game that people actually want to play, that isn't like predatory in so many ways that we've obviously seen. But some companies might, you know, they might succumb to it. You know, they get too big for their pants, and then they end up becoming, you know, the sellouts, and they begin to ask more and more of the community and deliver less and less of a product, which sadly might happen to some of these like indie companies as they get bigger, which, you know, who knows. But a lot of these other bigger companies may kind of, who knows, I don't think they'll go out of business. Most of them will, I think, will still exist, or they'll get kind of absorbed into the mass of like another big conglomerate, like how Microsoft and Sony have been buying a lot of smaller studios, or trying to dip their hands into other studios to be able to be like, hey, you make games for us, or we'll subsidize your other fees because you had too many bad games, or didn't make enough money for this game, or you lost a lot of money because of this game didn't do very well. Which, who knows? Like I said, I think a couple of those companies are like that. Obviously, some of them are able to probably going to still hold on, or they have too much, you know, big money behind them that makes it easier for them to not have to really worry about that. worry about really profits, where they can make a game that's not very good, but or a game that's more of like a tax write-off, or a game that's I guess meant to push a certain idea or message to people that maybe won't sell a lot, or to appease a certain group of people to maybe get investments or get a nice big check on the side, where the game itself's profits weren't really worth it. It was more like wasting, spending money, investing money like that way to make even more money on the side or behind closed doors. That would be even more of a worthwhile investment. Sorry, I think I banged the table. I don't know if the mic picked it up.
I can shatter that crystal.
But yeah, we're pretty much doing fine with this. Like I said, we're just clearing through them, so maybe this isn't going to take too long. I thought it would take a little bit longer. I'm never going to fight this big dinosaur boss. I forget, isn't there like a... I think it's Indo Tyrant, the one you fight at the end of the Cistern Slaughter, the other thing we're gonna do later on. He's basically just a big one of these big saurian like dinosaur guys with like lasers on his head, freaking laser beams attached to his skull.
Outrun.
Who would have ever thought of putting a dinosaur with laser beams? That's every little 10-year-old boy's dream. Dinosaurs with freaking laser beams and rocket launchers blowing up space monsters and I don't know, army or like the military.
Yes. Into the fray.
I feel like that could be like a plot. I guess it kind of was a plot of like a Predator movie, where like a group of badass military marines from the year 2077, goes and fights, goes to this rare planet to fight a dinosaur with lasers. And it's like this badass scene where everyone gets blown up. I don't know, and it makes like $1 bajillion, and everyone's got like the vintage copy of it, and stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger and I don't know, some other like big name 80s/70s actor. I know it's a million idea. I feel like maybe that's the type of movies people should make. Everyone's like upset with these remakes and re-releases and stuff, and like reimagining. But like, why not just make some dumb, stupid movie like that? And people are like, wow, this is really good. Kind of like a more like, I guess kind of like not like the John Wick movies, but more of like just a movie with so much violence and over-top combat, where like it's so goofy that you can laugh at it and laugh at like the bad CGI, but you still appreciate it because there's obviously a lot of goofiness and heart to it, rather than like it trying to be like corporate and like fulfill certain boxes or make certain people happy, because that's kind of what a lot of movies have become, whether people want to kind of admit it to themselves or not, because the industry has gotten so big, and as movies become more expensive, everyone wants to get a payment, and if you can say someone's like, hey, if you do this, this, and this, I'll give you some money and I'll subsidize your big project or help pay it off, because you want to make as much money as possible, especially since everything costs so much, and a lot of these movies have such big budgets on top of like marketing and paying all these big celebrities who want their big paychecks too. But who knows? I know like stuff like I guess stuff like that is always kind of becomes so cynical once you kind of realize what the game is and how it's been. You kind of don't appreciate, you kind of appreciate the other movies from the past, because making a movie like that, or making some of the old movies from like the 80s, 70s, 90s, even the early 2000s, where a lot of them were very risky movies to make, to where like you didn't even know if you were going to make your money back, but you're willing to do it. And some of them kind of became such household names, and some of them kind of fade into obscurity, or were never really big, or maybe had one bad sequel or spin-off that no one really cared about, and so everyone kind of just abandoned it. But who knows? All right, I think we're done here, so I think we'll take another quick break. Sorry with all these pauses, but I'll see you guys in 1 second. Goodbye. We're back. So we're here at the trial of a supremacy, yeah, which is the big like Iridian and like the dark Malawang. I think I called him black by accident, but I never kind of acknowledged it, because I was like, what are they called? I think they call it like black. They're obviously called like dark, and then I forget what the ones in the Malawang takedown are, 'cause I think they have like a different name too. And then obviously like the crypto ones are like the drug cartel guys, or the cartel ones. They call it like crypto. But yeah, this one shouldn't be too difficult. Like I said, the Malawang guys it's just Malawang guys, and then a lot of what's it called, Guardians. And the Guardians are kind of pushovers. Some of the the tougher ones, I think the Reapers are a little bit annoying, but we should be able to kind of pull through. Leveled up our vault card. Still got like 30 more levels to go. Or like 100 more levels pretty much. I'm not sure what the cap is. I think it's like anyone who reached like 999 of that, of the vault card levels. I don't think I reached that much, even though I think like on console I managed to get all of the cosmetics and at least unlock some of the legendaries that I wanted to unlock. And I know it does take a really long time to get that stuff, because how long it takes from this level, because you have max level, and then you only get so many. Well, I guess because like you only get so many keys, and But I guess stuff is a little bit more cheaper because sometimes some things just cost 1 key. So it's not that big a deal. Instead of like everything costing like little like 5 or max of 5 or 3 keys per thing. So if you just get 1 key from a box, you're guaranteed something. You can unlock something or one of the other like basic like trinkets or like the weapon skins or cosmetic things for the Echo. Oh, we got more cartel. Sadly, we can't pick up many things. I kind of forgot to go and grab the Joey mission, but I'll do the Joey stuff now later. We're not really gonna worry about Joey anymore. Maybe we'll go back another time during once we start doing the second or doing the DLC, like main story playthroughs. Maybe we'll dip our toes in the Joey place because Joey's always good to do, and you can always get more legendaries and help level up. Because some of the DLC, especially like some of the DLCs aren't too difficult. But I know, like I said, like the tour or not the tour, the Krieg DLC is like really difficult. Let's see if you do it now, like a normal like a normal playthrough, it's gonna be really difficult. Because I know even at like max level, if you play at hard level and you would have really good gear, you're gonna struggle. Because I know like all of the bosses are just scaled to like really hard and they have a lot of health. Not just like the final boss, like a Reaver, like Dark Lilith or not Dark Lilith, Evil Lilith, Evil Brick, Evil Mordecai, you know, Local Mobius. They're all really tanky. And they can really kind of mess you up compared to like some of the other bosses in the game, which are kind of pushovers. Like was it like Ruiner is not very difficult. The Heart with Eleanor is not difficult. Jackbot can be difficult if you're not prepared, but he's kind of like another pushover boss. And like a lot of the other like story bosses. Like if anything, like I think Wendigo is harder than what's it called? Than like obviously the Heart and the other bosses. But like the Claptrap or like the Scrap Trap pile, like, that's like the one everyone goes to farm and do stuff with it. But we'll save that for later. Speaking of the holidays, I mean, here's what you guys, like I said, I talked about a little bit about Christmas. But Christmas has always kind of been like I'm a big fan of Christmas. I always have been. Like as a kid, like everyone loves Christmas as a kid. You know, like everyone being like believing in Santa. Like I know there's typical Santa deniers out there that say he's not real, but he is real. I've seen him. So he is real. And I won't take for none of these Santa deniers saying that he's not real. Like how can one man bring presents to all the kids in the world? It's called magic. Yeah, that's what I thought. Santa deniers in their science. Probably think like dinosaurs are real and evolution is real and magic is obviously how it is. Come on, Mr. Chew, get up. What do we got here? Ooh, another no pew pew. Well, we might as well use it. You service well, Lucian's call. Yeah, but like I said, like Christmas has always been like a kind of a fun time. Like I guess going to see family, but there was times where you would only spend it with like obviously at home with your parents instead of going to see like the cousins or other extended family members. Because that was always kind of like a thing that we had, but like I said, once the grandparents passed away on the outside of the family, like it was not very common, or you didn't see them as much. So, you know, and some Christmas were kind of like sad, I guess, because you didn't get to see them, or like maybe your parents weren't really like you weren't really in a good mood with them, or maybe you kind of fought with them, or they kind of fought with you, or you kind of misbehaved, and they're like, oh, well, now it's Christmas. You know, that's kind of how it was for me a couple times. But that's like a long time ago when I was younger. But now like Christmas is kind of, I guess, weird for me as an adult. Because I still have like I said, younger family members who still get like presents, and I guess buying them presents and giving them presents is kind of like a cool thing to do. Because it was always something I kind of always wanted to do, like as a kid, like all to be able to be older and buy all the cool presents and give them to like my cousins and extended family members was always like a cool like dream of mine, I guess you would call it. And being able to do that though, like these last couple. These last couple like Christmases has always kind of been like a fun feeling, like a warm feeling, I guess, because I guess most people don't have it. If you're not someone who really has it, or most of your like family members are already older, or you don't really see like your extended family, or you don't. Because like I said, I don't have like that many siblings, so like most of my like extended family is like cousins and aunts and uncles, and like none of my I guess my sister doesn't have any kids because she's only a year older than me, and she's not really at that point in her life to have kids, and I guess neither am I. But I do have other families who have kids, and I guess younger cousins who also kind of still participate in that kind of aspect of Christmas of gift giving. But I still, like I said, like I always, well, I guess I never really got that many gifts now, other than like clothes or like gift cards, which everyone always wants. It's like the joke of like waiting till Christmas to get your, that brand new pair of underwear and socks and that new thing of like shampoo and conditioner now, or the thing of like cologne or stuff like that, like the typical male gift that everyone gets you. You kind of start getting when you're like a teenager. Like, oh, what do we get them? I guess we can't get them a video game because they're kind of violent. And I don't know anything about video games. I don't know. Get them a gift card, get them a pair of socks, and get them one of those like Axe body spray, like hygiene packs or things that they sell at all of like the big box stores. Like that's gonna be like that's what everyone gets. Like especially if you're like someone around that age. I guess girls kind of get that too, but it's more like, I guess with girls it's a bit easier because you can buy like, oh, she wants this cute outfit or this purse or like some slippers or something like whatever the new clothing item is or something like that. Or like makeup too, and stuff like that. Like stuff like, oh, like a nice branded purse. I remember there was always those like kind of like hot like phases where kids like stuff like, I think like last year was like the like Lululemon, like was it the like the drink cups, the flasks, was it the Yeti flask? Not the Yeti, what was it? I don't even know what it was called. The other big brand that came out that was making the flasks. I can't even think of what it's called now. It's like been so long. Because that was like the big trend of like getting people wanted. I remember I had some like cousins. They were like, "Oh, we want to get it," because they were kind of in tune with all that stuff. And I was like, "Really? You want another big giant metal drinking cup that costs like $30 just for like a cup?" I don't know. Like I said, like I guess for young people it's kind of different because I guess if you kids, like I said, like the memes of like kids these days, they don't want toys, they don't want Barbie dolls, they want Lululemon and like I don't know, concealer and makeup and stuff like that, which is kind of sad, especially if you're like a parent who kind of wants to raise like your like younger like I guess son and daughter who kind of I guess daughter in this case who's like still like not like an adult, like she's still like a teenager, like too young to be like a big teenager. They're kind of like between like I guess like 10 to like maybe like 14. It's kind of like that weird like gray area of like I guess not tween but teen, but like you're not like old enough really to where like by 15 you're kind of more adult, I guess is the best way to refer to it, where you kind of want more adult things like clothes and makeup or like money, because everyone wants money. But I don't know. Because like I said, people kind of like these want like their young kids to buy them like little like actual toys, I guess, but not like I don't know, buying them like an iPad. Maybe you shouldn't be buying your kid an iPad now, especially if you have like really young kids or even like kids that are like teenagers now. Because everyone would say like even teenagers shouldn't have cell phones or iPads because they're so dangerous, which I guess they kind of are. I mean, as someone who's kind of not really addicted to their phone, but like uses their phone a little too much than I should be doing, because I was kind of in that generation where phones were still popular, but they weren't like these complex machines. Like they were just like buttons that you press, and there was just a screen where like the coolest thing you do was play like a little mini game or text your friend, and that was cool. Because I didn't really have like a touchscreen phone until much later, and even then it was the more cheaper like budget phone that everyone had. It wasn't like the new hot phone or like the iPhone that a lot of other people kind of had around my age group, a little bit even older. And seeing young kids with like an iPhone, it's pretty crazy to see. But I guess it was always there. But not only now are people starting to really realize it as they kind of see more kids in their life, especially if they're parents. Like if you're a parent who's like now has a kid who's like in like I guess between like 8 to like 13 years old, and now you're starting to see kids, all of them with like phones now. You're like, wait a minute, do I have to give my kid a phone? Like, should I give my kid a phone? Am I like required now because of society? I don't know, but yeah, that's kind of my little rant. But we're gonna take another big break, and we're gonna go to the final thing, the trial of survival, to end off this. Maybe we got a diamond key. Maybe we'll end with a diamond key for why not? Because we kind of maybe need something good because we haven't been these trials haven't been giving us a lot of goodies. So I'll see you guys in 1 second. I'll be right back. Goodbye. All right, we're back with our final part of the trials. We're here at the trials of survival now. So this is the final one. This one isn't too difficult. This one's just Spider and Skags and some VAR kids, so we shouldn't be too difficult. Especially now that we have this other better no pew pew that we can use. I remember this was like the thing they first showed off at like the kind of early previews of Borderlands 3 because you know I was like always back when Borderlands 3 first came out, it was kind of like starting to get cheesy and showing all the early gameplay of the game. This was one of the things they showed off was like this, kind of like when they showed off like with Borderlands where they showed off like the vault boss with like was Inceptuous as like the kind of like end game like the special side content you could do, and this was kind of the thing they showed off. I remember like seeing it. I forget who video it was, but there was like a video where someone played as like Moe's. They had like I think the Butcher, and they were like showing off the Butcher and how the Butcher was like really powerful. It was like the first like couple legendaries that everyone kind of got to see how powerful they were and how like, all the new stuff and seeing like the engine and seeing the visuals and hearing the gun sound and the music. Like and that was obviously like very big deal. But like I said, like Borderlands 3 was kind of like a especially when it was like coming out, everyone was like kind of waiting to see what it was. And you know, now that it's been out for so long, I think people kind of have become like, I guess have like a weird like love it because it's been out for so long and they appreciate playing it. But now that it's been out for so long, people kind of are like more like, you know, it wasn't so bad. You know, perhaps I treated you too harshly, sort of mentality, which is always kind of happens with a lot of games where you get those feelings where the game is like hyped up, it comes out, maybe it's not your favorite. You're like, oh, this game is good. You get bored of it. Maybe you play all the content, you'll give out kind of lets the game kind of be left alone or kind of focus on like Wonderlands and making Borderlands 4 and setting up for the future. You're like, no, I'm gonna come back and play it now that all the content's out, now that they've updated and changed everything. You know, maybe now I can appreciate it more because I know like there's always like a thing that you see on videos of people like playing Borderlands 4 again, or like even like for me, like, but I always was playing it when the game came out. But if you're someone who only played it like the first time it came out, like that first like month of September or October when the game came out, you played it with maybe with your friends, or you kind of like checked it out, and then you're like, okay, I'm done with this, or you didn't like the story because I know the story is, you know, I don't need to repeat myself about that. And a lot of people kind of stepped away right now. People are like coming back and like playing it now that the game's out and all the DLC exists and you can get it for a lot cheaper. But I think maybe Borderlands 4 will probably go through that too, because same with Wonderlands. I think Wonderlands isn't really going through that now because there just isn't enough. There isn't that much end game content that really gets people to play. If anything, you're playing for the story of Wonderlands. But the Wonderlands story is a little more palatable, even if you don't really like Tiny Tina. So I think they did a better job of telling a more interesting story that feels a little more interesting. That doesn't have to like, it isn't like bound to like the lore or like the complex like foundation that they set up with Borderlands of like, okay, well, who's this? How do we have to tie this in? Or where do we want to go? Okay, who's who? Who's talked to each other? Like, what's the main canon story? You know, what kind of like references do you want to put in? Or it's more like just Tina in the past, like going and doing her little story where it focused more on her like kind of simple relationship with Roland, which is kind of like the focus of it. It was like about her learning about dungeons or badasses, bunkers and badasses from Roland, and then Roland obviously going and like telling her like, hey, we're fighting Jack. I'm gonna go to like the vault or we go to like the bunker, and this might be something bad happens. And obviously that's like the last time she sees Roland. And obviously with the Dragon Keep being kind of like a more palatable DLC where it kind of talks about Tina coming to terms with Roland's death and like understanding like the situation, because like Roland was kind of like her only like familiar father figure, because Roland was always kind of like this like boring like soldier character where he kind of where people didn't really like him, or he was kind of just there like not really understanding. But seeing him kind of be like a dad to Tina was kind of like a way to make him more of an interesting character without like expanding his story in any real way. It's like, oh yeah, like Tina kind of does enough to carry how much Roland meant to her and how like Roland like kind of helped make her the person that she is. Which I always thought was like a really cool little side thing that they did with Wonderlands that I guess a lot of people most people don't really realize or kind of appreciate about the story. But I don't know, maybe they'll, like I said, I don't know if they'll bring Tina. I feel like Tina is, if anything, if they're gonna do like a Wonderlands 2 like I kind of talked about, because I know that was like back when Borderlands 4 was still being teased, there was like, oh well, you know, 2K or Gearboxes like at this call, they said that this is like their goal, or they want to work on this game. You know, this is like their projection for the next, 5 to 10 years after this, or for this quarter of the year. So I don't know if they will do like an older Tina, which I figured maybe that would be like something they do, or I guess maybe they take Wonderlands and make it more of an adult game, I guess, because Wonderlands was like peaked at teen. It was always focused on like Tina being like a young kid, even though she was like still like talked crude and was still into like that kind of mindset. She was still like a kid, where the game kind of had that, like I said, PG-esque to it, where like everything was kind of censored, where maybe with Borderlands 4 it can be Tina older now and maybe she plays with Roland, or like an older like Rick and Mordecai are kind of like old and senile, or kind of like figure out her where she's now an adult, like adult Tina being the main character rather than it being like them trying to bring back young Tina or trying to squeeze this in like in a weird timeline where like this happened between Borderlands 3 or 2 or whenever, like I forget when Wonderlands exactly exists, it takes place. I think that would be like a more interesting take to have like that more adult theme. Like, because I know people, like, especially if it's going to be like more of like a role-playing game. You get that fire now. That's the worst thing. That's not what you wanted, but I think maybe we'll kill him with this. Maybe they'll do like, I don't know if they'll do like another like Dragon Keep kind of DLC or maybe something else with Borderlands 3. I know they kind of did it with like the Volcar, like the one with the Monkers and Badass ones where they kind of showed off more like content for that, or like added skins and stuff and weapons, or like maybe like teasers to what type of weapons we'll get. Especially now that they've added new weapons and like changed the manufacturer, like are they gonna have like Daedalus and Order and like Ripper, or there's like the new like versions, or like the new like replacing those ones, or are they gonna bring back like Doll and Malon, or not Doll, but I don't think, or Doll and like Bandit, or was it Skulldugger? It's like, or not Bandit, COV. And like Atlas, I don't know, Atlas wasn't in Wonderlands, but you get my point. And like trying to like really like focus on that kind of mechanic, like with melee weapons and spells, which I know like that was a really cool feature, but I feel like they never underutilize it. But now with like the more open world, like you can have like a vehicle, like I don't know, like a carriage, like something you fly around with or drive around. Because I think like that's kind of probably what they want to do with maybe Wonderlands or something else. Because you know, who knows what they're gonna do? Because it's probably gonna come. Knowing Gearbox and knowing how Borderlands 3's or 4's success is kind of like, even though I don't think Borderlands 4 was like a smash out sell, big box seller, but I think it was enough to like make Gearbox, you know, like make the investors happy and kind of give Gearbox the kind of green light to start making more projects and be able to finance and fund that. Especially since I'm sure there's probably a lot of people who bought like the DLC packs, like the bounty packs and the like the Vault Hunter or the story packs, and like buying the Vault Hunter stuff and other cosmetics and buying the big box like version of that game. But who knows? But yeah, we finished up all the little trials here. We're probably gonna end it right here. Well, I guess we're gonna go to Sanctuary and open up our golden key chest. Open the golden key for the first time since we haven't done this during this playthrough. We might as well do it now. I don't think we'll get more. Because I know on my other like console account I have like a whole bunch, because I remember they gave a whole bunch out leading up to the launch of Borderlands 4, but I haven't really even used any of them because, you know, I pretty much have most near perfect gear, or gear that I need, and anything from there is more of like one of the harder to reach like legendaries or uniques that are like not like something you can just easily farm.
I don't know about a Falcon, but Baylex got specs
But
for
yeah, we'll go do that real
parts
quick.
that.
Hopefully we get something cool, or at least something to maybe help us out, or get one of the DLC guns that we kind of want. But I think we can get one of the Mayhem exclusives, so that might be good too, since we're only on Mayhem 1. So maybe we'll get like a Monarch or something like that, or like a Brain, or like a Reflux. That would be really hard carry us. Let's see what we get. We don't. I guess we need a better shield. We always need a better shield. So maybe get a Revolter. That's what we can get since we haven't touched the Ava murder mystery. Probably save that for later. So let's see. God, ooh, and Plus Ultra, that's another good one. I forget exactly what that does. I guess it kind of says, but we'll kind of leave it for now. Backhand's good. Ooh, the Infernal Wish. Infernal Wish is really good. Maybe we'll take that. Is that an Old God, I think? Yeah, Old God. Or Stopgap. Stopgap's good. Another Backhand, Impaler. Let's see if I can see what that... I think that's... was it the Zero.M, I think? Or Infernal Wish? Or no, the Madcap. That's the Recharger. That's the Faulty Star. Transformer. Was a Recharger, a Rerouter, and then was that I think that's a Stinger, I think it's called. Yeah, Stinger. The one from that's from what's it called? The Guardian Takedown. The one from was it Anathema? Snowshoe's good. Ooh, Infernal Wish. I guess we take an Infernal Wish then, since we got two. Rack Charge. We don't need Rack Charge. I think it's this one. I guess we just take this one for now. Yeah, what do you got here? Ooh, a Spade. The Spade, actually, I tried to make the Spade. I really kind of liked it on Moe's, but maybe we'll take it here. Krakatoa, that's another really powerful gun. I'm amazed we didn't see any of that. I think maybe we did see one, but we never really used it. I remember that was like the go-to like mouth sniper rifle of the game, even beating like the La Yehuda for a minute. Nemesis. Ooh, another Rocket Pod. I never liked the Rocket Pod. Boomer's good. Another Hellwalker. What do we got here? Another Krakatoa. Ooh, the Miscreant. I do like the Miscreant. It's kind of a sleeper hit, but it's only really good on like Moe's and maybe Amara. And then we got, ooh, the Banger Ring, the Dark Army. I never really used a Dark Army. It's kind of one of those obscure guns that I never really got or really messed around with because it's part of the arms race. I think maybe we want an SMG or a I don't think we want the Spade. Maybe we'll take the Spade. The Spade's actually pretty good on flak. Maybe the Boomer. What is it? This doesn't have anointment. I think maybe we take the I guess we take the Boomer. I think that's our best option. Grenades, we'll use whatever we want. I'm still looking for the the max roll of the Dead Ringer. The big giant Dead Ringer or the big Dead Ringer? Because I know there's a Ringer, there's Dead Ring, and then there's like the big Dead Ringer or giant big Ringer, which I never seen. So I'm always kind of looking out for that. I think I would maybe take the Epicenter just to have, because it's probably one of the better like basic legendaries grenades. We got the Hot Spring. That's another. I think it's like a healing grenade. I forget what it does exactly. Ooh, the Mesmer. The Mesmer is really good, and it's got Cryo on action skill end or Corrosive action skill end. That might be what we maybe take. And then the Incursion. But we don't really need a Hex. We're not really using it for damage, and there's no anointment, so maybe we take our Mesmer. Surge. We don't need the Surge. What does the Surge have? It has anointment. It has Radiation. I think maybe we take the Surge because of Radiation. Radiation is a little better for us. And having something like that every time to replace our Transfusion. Oh, it's a little level 55, but we'll have that for later then. And then we get something here. Ooh, we got a Mongol. Haven't seen the Mongol in a minute. But yeah, we got some good stuff from that. So I think we go up here for a little bit so we can end it off. So yeah, this is going to end off this trial showcase. We showed off all the little trials. They're pretty, not too difficult. We didn't get anything too crazy. Some stuff from the cartel. I mean, if anything, getting the golden key was the highlight, and we got some goodies from that. Hopefully we get another one maybe later on. Once we get to max level, we can maybe come get some more powerful guns or something more OP instead of some of these other basic guns that are kind of iffy. But yeah, the next part's probably going to be the slaughter chefs and all of those things. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do one of each if they're too long, or maybe we'll kind of split it up. I don't know what we're going to do. I'll have to wait and see. But yeah, if you like this part, be sure to check out all the other parts and check out the playthrough, and be sure to wait for the other parts to come out and like the video. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.